Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Me First Morning. I'm your host, Patricia Ribeiro Wolfson, and I am an intuitive coach and an energy healer and a wife and mom to three boys. And yes, they keep me as busy as you may think they do. All right, so my mission is to teach you how to, number one, calibrate your energy. And let me tell you, these days, it is a full time job to take care of your energy during this intense season, intense astrologically, intense astronomically, intense because of the holidays, intense because of the time of year. And guess what? It's the winter solstice right now. So today is literally the longest and darkest day of the year. So if you're having time today, yesterday, this week, don't be surprised because there are a lot of emotions and a lot of energy and a lot is going on. And if you think that, you really don't get affected by the moon or the solstice or any of that stuff, come on now. The animals do. The earth does. What makes you think that nothing is going to affect you? I'm sorry to tell you, you are sadly mistaken if you think that these powerful forces have no effect on you. But that's okay. If you don't believe that, then probably this show is not for you anyway. So here we go. We will continue to talk about the things that I talk about. So I did say I was going to help you calibrate your energy. I also like to help people integrate self-care into easy doable steps. I only do easy doable steps. Anything that's complicated or takes too much time, I just won't do. So that's how I approach things, and that's how I share things here on Me First Mornings. Almost said the Me First formula, which is what I use, but that's another story. And the other thing is I like to teach you how to embrace your own gifts. Let me tell you a message that I really, really want to drive home. And if I haven't driven it home already on this show, I intend to drive it home. Okay, there we go. Oh my God, so much better. I intend to drive it home. Definitely in 2020. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. You are amazing. All you have to do is believe it. And once you tap into how incredible you are, how gifted you are, how much of a gift you are actually here, just existing on this planet, well, then you will become unstoppable. And anything that comes your way, you're just going to face with ease and grace. And that is going to be, I think, probably my word for 2022 is ease and grace. Those are two words. Just go with me. Again, have not been sleeping. So you're going to have to go with me. Hello, good morning, Mom. My mom is here. My parents are here helping me out. And I have like a laundry list of things for them to do for me, things that I have not been able to do for myself. And I'm very, very grateful to have them here. Thank you for being here and taking care of all the things that it's just been really hard to take care of. And I am really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for them. And I also know that I'm in a very privileged situation to have both parents alive. Not everybody does. To have both parents that can travel and can come here and spend some time. Not everybody has that. And has two able-bodied parents who are able to contribute and can still do things. Not everybody has that. So I just want you to know that I'm super grateful. Obviously, my parents are here and watching, so I'm grateful to you. But I also just want to make a declaration of gratitude in general for the life that I have, no matter what challenges come my way. And I encourage you to do the same thing, no matter what challenges you're facing. Take some time to just be grateful for what it is you do have, even if it's not much, even if it seems that you got dealt a bad hand, whether it was this year or in life. Sometimes you can feel that you got dealt a bad hand, but even people who are dealt a bad hand do have some things to be grateful for. You may have to look a little harder. You may have to really pick those things out. But I promise you, when you start to focus on those things, you will see, okay, things are not all that bad. There are some good things. And if you focus on the little things that are good and you use them like seeds and you plant them in the garden of possibilities, right? this little thing is pretty good. Maybe you can have more of these things like this. Maybe you don't have a lot of money, but you have a lot of friends and a lot of support. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends and support, but financially you're doing okay. There could be so many different situations. Every single person watching here has their own struggles, has their own trauma, has their own story of something that you've been through that nobody else has been through, or at least maybe it feels that way. I guarantee you someone else has been through some version of it or some part of it. Nobody's story is exactly the same, but everybody has a story. And so everybody feels the same about the things that go on in their life, right? Everybody understands what it's like to feel lack. Everybody understands what it's like to feel like you're not enough. Everybody understands what it's like to feel like you just can't seem to cut it. And everybody also knows what it's like to feel happiness and to feel love on some level. On some level, you've felt it in this planet. And if you really haven't felt it, then try and connect with nature in a different way and see if you can feel it through nature. The beingness of love, the beingness of creation. If you can focus in on that moment, it may help you get through some of your own tough times. Okay, so today, sorry, I may seem out of breath, but I really haven't had much sleep, hence the coffee on IV drip. Well, okay, it's not on IV drip, but it should be. Excuse me. I use the mute button. Yay. Okay. So, for those of you who have not yet downloaded the GPS workbook, let me encourage you to do that now. And I'm going to encourage you, especially because this is the time of year that you can do the GPS workbook. And the way I had it set up, the original, when I first made the GPS workbook, it was actually part of a visioning workshop that I did for, going into the new year, right? So I don't remember. It was probably about 3 years ago when I first came up with it, or 3 years ago. But the idea is to go through this workshop, to go through this GPS workbook and plan out what you want next year to look like. Now's the perfect time. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, please do. If you want my support to do it, please reach out. I am taking a few more appointments. At least early in the new year, we're going to be solidly working on establishing that new foundation, establishing the new GPS coordinates that you are going to be inputting into your GPS system in order for you to calibrate each and every day to the coordinates that you are looking for. Okay. And this is a practice. This is something you need to do every single day. Sometimes you need to do it like every conversation, every new situation. You are constantly reminding yourself to go back to whatever the word or phrase that you choose in the GPS workbook. That is your guidance system. And it's like, wait, is this making me feel peaceful? If not, you say no. Is this making me, or is this going to bring me peace if I take care of this? If the answer is yes, then you do it. If the answer is no, you don't do it. And it becomes the filter through which you put everything through in your life. All decisions, all choices, all relationships. Put them through the filter. Does this person make me feel peaceful? Does this person connect me to my peace? If the answer is no, now, I'm using peace in this example, but you can literally use anything, whatever word you choose, whatever feeling you want to embody or encompass. Anything that is in your life should resonate with that word, should resonate with that feeling, right? So if you have something and you want to feel abundant, and you look at something and you're like, this thing just makes me feel like lack, well, then it's got to go. Or you want to feel abundant, but you have people in your life that constantly remind you of what you don't have. You might want to reconsider those relationships. And I'm not saying you have to cut off relationships with people, but certainly think about how much energy and time you give to those people who are always consistently reminding you of that vibration of lack. If that's not the vibration you want, then you need to work on distancing yourself and setting a boundary there to protect your abundant energy, because you want to keep that. You want to keep the feeling. You want to cultivate it. You want to grow it. And anything that sort of cultivates lack is going to take away from the abundance. Okay, so that's just an example. All right, we got chats. Good morning. Well, both my parents are here, so that's a good sign. Good morning, Dad. All right. So, what's next? What's next for us? Let's start our routine. For those of you who have not yet followed me on, or I should say, subscribe to me on YouTube, go to Jumpstart for Change on YouTube. Please subscribe and ding that notification button. I'm also all over social media. I mean, basically, I'm on Instagram. You can find me there at Patricia Ribeiro Wolfson. You can find me also through Soul Seekers at Soul Seekers TV. And I'm on TikTok now. So go to at Calibrate Your Energy on TikTok. And the content that I put on TikTok is different from everything else because it's just like 1 minute little things. And I don't do a ton, but I would love to have a few more people following me on there. And I'm definitely going to make a bigger effort in 2022 to be more present on TikTok because like 1 minute bite-sized pieces of information or inspiration or motivation, hey, it's a 1 minute thing. So that really is something I'd like to add as a helpful tool for people. Okay, so let's start with our routine. So if you have a candle, please feel free to grab it. And today, one of the things that we're going to talk about once we're done with our little routine is we're going to talk about your superpower in communication. And what's interesting is that I have actually shifted this superpower, and it can shift, and all things shift. So keep that in mind. All right, back to my essential oil. So we lit the candle. This is my meditation oil. I really like this one too. I love my sacred frankincense, but this one's a close second. It's the meditation blend from Organic Infusions. I should get them to be a sponsor. Okay, a little bit in the hair, definitely in the back of the neck. Oh, I'm definitely going to need my stretching today because I can barely move my neck today. It's actually quite, this light is so much, it's driving me nuts. But I can't fix it because this camera kind of readjusts to the light and it makes up its own mind what it wants to do. So, okay, maybe I'm not so bright. I can't. No, I am bright and I'm blue. Okay, whatever. That's my own TV issues. Good morning, Fatima. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. All right. I keep trying to change this damn video because it's making me nuts, but I can't change it and it doesn't seem to want to stay the way I want it. So it's just going to be like this and I'm going to have to suffer. Okay. So now let's do our deep breaths. Okay. So if you have a crystal that you want to use, feel free to grab it. If you don't have any crystals, please don't feel obligated or pressured into using any tool. As I've said many, many times, tools are just that. They are tools, but they are not necessary. I like to use them because they're fun, and anything that adds more fun is the way to go for me. All right. So I'm going to grab my crystal spheres. And if you don't have any crystals or anything like that, that's okay. Just put your hands on your lap, facing down or facing up or in a mudra, whatever connects with you. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And as we take these 3 very intentional deep breaths, we're going to imagine the top of our head just opening up to receive that beautiful healing light. If you want to imagine it as sunlight, that always makes it a little bit easier for me. Just imagine the sunlight pouring in through the top of your head. And this sunlight contains codes, it contains life force energy, it contains healing energy. So just allow that to pour through the top of your head. At the same time, I want you to have your feet well planted on the ground, and you're going to use your legs as straws. And just as you imagine the sunlight pouring into your head, I want you to imagine that the earth's energy, right? That life force energy that runs through everything that grows from the earth. I want you to imagine it going way up your legs, right through your whole body, that nourishing life force energy, that creative energy. I want you to bring that up through your legs into your body. And so that healing sunlight and that creative life force energy mixing in your body. And it's just going to just destroy, dissipate any dense, stagnant, or stuck energy in your body. It's just going to break it apart because it's so powerful. It's just going to blow right through anything that doesn't serve you. And then when you exhale, you're going to release all of the things that don't serve you. And that's going to be 3 very large, very cleansing breaths. So let's do that now together, okay? Deep breath. Remember, we are increasing our capacity to receive all of this healing life force energy. Let's do that now, and then we'll hold. And as we hold, That's when the energy does its magic and breaks apart anything that doesn't serve us. And then in the exhale, we release anything that doesn't work. Okay, here we go. Deep breath in and hold and release. Beautiful. Okay, another deep breath in and hold and release. Okay, we're going to do one more really deep breath. Make this one count. A cleansing, beautiful breath of energy, releasing all that doesn't serve us. Okay, here we go. And hold and release. Ah, beautiful. Okay, that felt good to me. All right, now let's do some stretching. Oh my God, I feel like I'm totally like in so much pain in my neck. So I'm doing it gently. You guys can feel free to do the same thing on your neck, on your back. Stretch your arms up, over, whatever works. Hi, Marissa. I'm so glad you're here. Okay. Oh my God, I need the stretches so badly. Okay. Okay. Whew. All right. Now let's just roll those shoulders. I'm running a little behind today. You guys will have to excuse me because I'm running slow. All right. So we're just moving those shoulders back and trying to, what we want is we want to get into a state of flow. We want to reduce the tension. We want to reduce the stiffness. We want our body, our minds, our soul to be in flow, right? That's what we want. We want the flow. We want to feel good. Okay. So shake it out, shake it out, shake it out after you're done stretching. Good job. Okay. Now we're going to set our intention and say a prayer. So we talked a lot about the GPS word from the beginning. You can set an intention for the day or set an intention for the holidays. Set an intention for how you want things to go. So just take a moment and think about what that intention is. And then I'm going to say our prayer and call in the spirits, the source, the angels, the guides, anybody that we have on the other side of the veil that can support us to hold our intention, to help us to create the space for our intention, and also to embody our intention as we walk through the world, not just today, not just tomorrow, but for the rest of our lives. And especially since we are approaching the new year, that we may enter into 2020 with this embodied feeling. Okay, here we go. Divine Mother, Infinite Father, Creator, Ascended Masters, Archangels, Spirit Guides, Ancestors, and all beings of 100% pure white light, allow me to be a clear and open channel of your light and love without hesitation or ego. May the highest vibration of infinite consciousness connect with my higher self and release any and all things that no longer serve me. I ask that Saint Germain and his infinitely powerful violet flame burn away the things that no longer serve myself or humanity and keep us from our divine existence. Help us to embody our intentions for the day and help us raise the collective vibration for the highest and greatest good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it. And so it is. Okay. Also, feel free to say amen, which is so it is, or so be it. Okay. That felt good. That felt good. So now we're going to pull a card. Let's talk about communication, people. Oh, I lost my book. That's okay. I don't need the book. Let's talk about communication and what do the cards have to say to us about communication this week? And I'm talking about the superpower, right? What's the superpower of communication? Now, the funny thing is I think in 2017, I did a workshop called the 5 Principles of Effective Communication. And I did talk about one of the superpowers. And I'm going to talk about that superpower that I mentioned, but I've actually kind of adjusted, readjusted, refined what I feel is the true superpower, because I feel like a superpower is something that's challenging, right? It's like that's what makes it a superpower is that like superheroes do it. or it's something that can create great change without much effort. So it becomes like a superpower, something magical. And so what I thought was the superpower before, which I mean still um, is gratitude, right? Gratitude is, I'm going to say, it's one of your superpowers. So I'm not eliminating it completely as a superpower. I believe that gratitude is one of your greatest superpowers in terms of communication. And what I mean by that is, and there's many different ways to look at it, but one of the ways is to be grateful for the relationship itself, right? To be grateful for the ability to stand up for yourself in a challenging conversation. Be grateful for the lessons that may come from challenging conversations. Now, I'm talking about challenging conversations because good conversations, even though gratitude is a great addition to any conversation and will just raise the vibration of any conversation, pointing out how grateful you are for somebody, pointing out how grateful you are for a situation, but that's easy when everything's going well and when you have a good relationship. In fact, I do make it a point to tell my friends, maybe not daily, but pretty often, I would say several times a week, how much I appreciate them, how much I love them, how much I, feel connected to them. I think that's important. I don't do that just with my friends. I do that with my children. I do that with my husband. And in fact, with my husband, every single day, we share our appreciation for each other in one way or another. And I don't mean like with gifts and stuff like that. I literally mean we say like, I love you. I'm so grateful for you, that kind of thing. It's really, really important. And that becomes like a preemptive strike, so to speak. So before you have, a heated conversation with somebody that you care for, if you have already made them feel appreciated, valued, and loved, if they already know that you are grateful for them, then it makes any conflict a little bit easier to deal with because you've already put the work in so that they don't feel like you're not appreciating them, so that they don't feel like you're not validating them. Because in the middle of a fight, although gratitude can be a great energy shifter, and I say that because in my workshop I said, like even if you're in a heated conversation with somebody, just out of the blue, thank them for their opinion, thank them for their perspective, thank them for even being having a close enough relationship with you to feel comfortable fighting with you. This is literally like a conversation that I had with some people in a workshop where I was like, literally, if you're having a fight with somebody and you want to sort of shift and you have the ability to shift the conversation and you want to do like a quick 180 where it's kind of like, what is like, say, I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate that we are close enough that we can fight like this and still love each other. And even if you don't feel the love in that moment, if you are able to break the argument and say something like that, it will shift the energy because gratitude shifts the energy, because gratitude is a vibration that you're bringing in, that when you're in an argument with somebody, gratitude is on a completely different vibrational level, a completely different frequency from anything that would be in the midst of an argument. So if you can gratitude in any way, this is why I called it a superpower. I think that is like number one, is if you can somehow bring in gratitude, somehow let the other person know that you appreciate them, that you appreciate their perspective, that you validate their, where they're coming from, and know that it's from love, or know that it's, I understand this is your perspective and I really appreciate your perspective. This doesn't work for me, but I am so grateful to have you in my life, or I'm so grateful to have you and people like you who can point things out to me and keep me on target, right? Sometimes we need those people who say things to us that make no sense, because then it clarifies the direction that we actually want to go in. And we'd be like, thank you so much for showing me that I want nothing to do with that path that you're taking right now. I really appreciate that you've brought clarity to me. Thank you. Now, the real secret, though, is you have to do this and be sincere and authentic, okay? Because the one about sacred communication, which we were talking about yesterday, sacred communication, and how sacred communication is such an important part of, living your most authentic life, is being authentic and being vulnerable, right? You have to be vulnerable. You have to be authentic. You have to be true to who you are. So when you're communicating, you need to communicate honestly. And although sometimes honesty can be, sort of clouded or connected to sarcasm, very often people are able to be more honest when they're sarcastic. If you can genuinely grasp an attitude of gratitude, if you can truly shift your perspective to really be appreciative of the challenge or really be appreciative of the conflict that you're having and really figure out, how can I appreciate this? How is this helping me? How is this helping this relationship? How is this working for us? Now, you may not be able to do it in the midst of the conversation because there's this little thing called momentum. So if you're in the midst of an argument with somebody, it'll be really hard to just turn off the anger, in that flow of a discussion where you're like, you're this and you're that, and I can't believe this, right? To then all of a sudden be like, I just want to say I'm really grateful for you. Like, it will shift the energy. I'm telling you, if you are able to do it. And I've had clients do this, and they said to me that I had a woman do this with her husband, and she looked at me and she said, my husband looked at me like I had 7 heads, but it absolutely stopped the fight, and they started laughing. So if you can do anything to shift, an uncomfortable situation or a toxic situation, and you can bring gratitude into that situation, well, then you're a few steps ahead of the game. Okay. So now I'm going to pull the card, and then I'm going to tell you what I think the other superpower is that most recently has been something that I've been trying to integrate into my conversations with my children, and also to keep in mind, something that I try to keep in mind with everybody that I speak to. All right, let's see. We're talking about communication, and of course the cards, like, they have their own sense of humor. The card that I pulled, of course, was encouragement. Look at this, number 54. Can you see it? There we go. Kind of. Okay. So you got number 54. There we go. And encouragement. Look at the beautiful giraffes. I love them so much. Okay. Encouragement. So and actually, because we are talking about communication, it showed up upside down, right? So, gratitude and encouragement, they are so close. Vibrationally, they're close, right? So how can you, in communication with somebody, go from someone who is maybe critical on some level, or you're having a discussion with somebody and things are tense and you have your opinion, right? Because that's what it comes down to. Most of the conflicts that we have with people, right? We have our opinion and our vision and how we see things. And the conflict comes when you have a conversation with somebody else who has their own opinion and their own vision and their own way of seeing things, and it does not match, right? So it doesn't match. So this discussion, ends up being this fight or this conflict because you have two people who very desperately want their viewpoint heard, right? And especially if you're talking about something that where one person feels like the other person is, being mean, or is not paying attention to their boundaries, or has crossed over the line, or who's being insensitive, and even someone who is insensitive, they have their own perspective and their own reasons. I mean, if you look at relationships between like parents and children, for a lifetime, and you can ask my own children, sometimes when I'm saying things that I think is helpful, really they feel like I'm just, outlining all the ways that they're not showing up or all the things that they're not doing. And it can feel really defeating. So I've tried to switch it and try to say, how can I approach this from an encouraging perspective? How can I approach this from a teaching perspective? That's in relation to my children. With other people, certainly from an encouraging perspective. And it may be encouraging yourself, it may be encouraging someone else, but encourage, really understanding that everybody's just doing the best that they can with what they have. If you can keep that in mind in any discussion, in any conflict, even if somebody seems like, oh my God, how could they think like this? That's ridiculous. It's really important for you to understand everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. Everyone is working from their own personal filters, from their own life experiences, and their perspective may be completely different from yours. So for you, you may be like, well, it's obvious that this is what you should should be doing. For the other person, it may not be that obvious because they're looking at it from a different vantage point. So please keep that in mind. And so here is the superpower as we approach the end of our show, the superpower that you have that is your strongest ally in any conversation with any person, and especially your children, is have a conversation with somebody. When you're having a conversation with somebody, assume that whatever they're telling you is true from their perspective. Okay? So listen again. When you're having a conversation with anybody, assume that whatever it is that they are saying is absolutely true from their perspective. It doesn't matter if you have proof that it's not true, if you have experience that it's not true, if you don't believe that they even believe it's true, okay? If you think they're lying or manipulative, or if you think they're wrong, or if you think they're insensitive, if you think they're assholes, if you think they're shitty people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You need to take what they say at face value, that is truth for them. Now, if you take what somebody else says as truth for them, then you have two choices in your interaction with them. And this is where it's important to set your boundaries. You may have an interaction with someone and decide that whatever is true to them from their perspective absolutely does not connect with you and your perspective. And if you cannot come up with a compromise or something that works where both of you can be like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Here's where I'm coming from. If we work together, we can come to an agreement that is acceptable for both of us, right? If that is not possible, your only job is to set up the boundary of what you are willing to accept or embrace in your life, right? And so you set up those boundaries and say, I will not accept this behavior, this treatment, these words. I will not accept that in my life, in my energy. You are welcome to do you, to be you, to see things how you see them, because you are your own person. I am not the boss of you. And even God gave you free will. I'm not going to take it from you. However, here's my boundary. If that's how you feel, I don't have room for you here, because I don't see things that way. And what your perspective is hurtful to me and the people I care about. Therefore, we cannot have a relationship. It cannot exist this way. So you set your boundaries. You set your boundaries for what you are willing to allow in your life, what you are willing to accept in your life, what you want to embrace in your life. You control that. You set the boundaries. Just like you have a house, right? You have a house that has doors and you lock it. And if you don't want a certain type of person in your house because they're mean, because they're this or because of that, open the door to them. You leave them out the door and you say, I'm sorry. I wish you well. I hope you find another house, but this house, you're not allowed in this house. Because in this house, these are the rules for the people that are allowed in this house. These are who I want to associate with. This is who I want my children to be around. And if you cannot meet that, then you cannot be here. And so I haven't given specific examples about anything, but the most important thing, and if you guys have your own situation, a conflict situation, a, relationship situation that you're not quite sure how to deal with. And this superpower example that I'm giving you, you can't see how to apply it. Please feel free to contact me privately and we'll work through it, because I can't cover all the possibilities. But here are the two hard and fast rules. Number one, as I said, assume that whatever the other person is saying is true from their perspective. Just assume it, okay? And then you have to deal with them from that perspective. And you have the responsibility to set up your boundaries as appropriate for you. And you do not let anything into your space, into your energetic field that you don't want in your energetic field. Because the second you allow something in your energetic field, you are sending a message to the universe that you accept that you're like, yes, this I include. Come on into my house. Come on into my house. And if you say, come on into my house, just like the vampires in the movie, once you let them in, you can't, well, not that you can't kick them out, because of course we can cleanse the energy, we can change our minds, we can shift things, we can set new boundaries. However, By allowing into your house, you are accepting it into your vibration. So you have to think very carefully, what are you willing to put your energy and your focus into? And if something that you are giving your attention to is not what you want in your life, then you need to figure out a way how to set up a really good boundary so that that person, place, thing, situation is under no uncertain terms not allowed into your space, right? So you are really super clear, and you have to be super clear with the universe, with your actions. Nope, I will not accept this in my life, then you can't accept it. You can't say, well, just this once. You can't say, oh, maybe a little bit now and then later I won't. No. If you are setting an energetic boundary, then you need to set a hard, like an absolute boundary where nothing permeates, penetrates, nothing gets through. Because once you allow it to get through, then that energy will infiltrate you and your frequency. And then you're dealing with this energy that you don't want. So that is the best way that I can describe it. If you guys need any more support to really understand exactly what I'm talking about, feel free to reach out to me privately. I will talk about it a little bit more, maybe tomorrow. Anyway, I'm like, I get all excited and then I get out of breath because sort of that's how the channeling works. So I lose breath for sometimes. Okay. So I just want to say thank you. That's my little superpower for you today. Assume everything anyone says is true and then set your boundaries accordingly to either, include them or keep it out of your life, whatever that energetic boundary is. I'm here every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Make sure that you subscribe to my Jumpstart for Change channel on YouTube. Other than that, I hope you have a great week. I hope you are ready for the holidays if you celebrate, Christmas, Kwanzaa. It's all coming. And that's it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you're productive. I love you all.